Hey everyone, my name is Sam, and I'll be going over one of the newest psychoactive drugs called pink cocaine. Let's first start with the origin. In the late 1970s, 2CB was very popular in the black market in Latin America. However, over time, the expense and high demand of the drug made 2CB less accessible. So in 2010, drug developers in Colombia developed a similar product known as 2CB, which is much cheaper to make. You may also hear this substance be called 2CB, 2C-cocaína rosada, and more. If somebody is using pink cocaine, they will usually snort it or snuff it, meaning that they inhale the powder version through their nasal cavity. The benefit of doing such allows the drug to bypass the blood brain barrier. But some people also take it in form of the pill. However, it is less popular as it is weaker than intranasal due to going through first pass metabolism and reducing bioavailability. Despite having the word cocaine in it, there is actually very little cocaine in it. Another irony to its name is that 2C does not have high levels of 2CB, its model drug. Instead, here's what they have instead. This image here shows the average of positive drug presence in samples of pink cocaine. As we can see here, it's actually ketamine and MDMA that are the highest, followed shortly behind caffeine and ketamine precursors. Since MDMA and ketamine have the highest presence in pink cocaine, I will go over how they interact with each other. Let's first start with a short introduction to what they are. MDMA acts as a monoamine agonist, meaning that it will promote the production of these neurotransmitters. These include things like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. MDMA has the highest affinity for serotonin and shows that it blocks reuptake of the 5-HT receptor. Ketamine acts as a non competitive antagonist of NMDA, so it will prevent the production of these receptors. In glutamatergic cells, these NMDA receptors get deactivated and allow more glutamate to be produced since they inhibit GABA. So, what happens when these two work in hand? Well, there isn't much we can say, but there are two studies that have looked into the pharmacodynamics of this interaction. The first study I read suggests that ketamine enhances the effect of MDMA. In 2008, mice were given a pretreatment of ketamine and then administered MDMA. They measured both serotonin and dopamine levels in these mice. First, looking at dopamine, the scientists suggest that ketamine may actually suppress dopamine activity related to MDMA. If you look at the graph, there is a drop in dopamine and MDMA and ketamine when taken together. If you can recall, dopamine is an important neurotransmitter in things like our reward system and our motor function. The second part of their study suggests that ketamine significantly promotes the activity of MDMA and serotonin activity. Recall that serotonin plays a role in things like appetite control, mood regulation, hedonic spot regulation, and even parts of the reward system. So, what are their long term interactions? Another study also observed mice that were given 7 treatments of ketamine injections and 3 MDMA injections, alternating between the two in 12-hour intervals. Like the previous experiment, the timing of treatments does not truly align with pink cocaine, but I thought it would be meaningful to share. For dopamine comparing the control to ketamine and MDMA, there is a significant drop in dopamine production. Looking at serotonin in long-term use, we see that ketamine and MDMA in mice had lower concentrations of serotonin in the brain. Likely this means that serotonin is downregulated since there is an initial increase in serotonin production. In order to maintain homeostasis, it lowers the use of serotonergic receptors. Similar to dopamine, I would assume that lower serotonin would also make it hard to create salience or even regulate mood. Here are some behavioral effects that occur when somebody uses pink cocaine. Some more desired effects that can happen include euphoria or high, or things like hallucinations. And we definitely see that there are more adverse effects than there are beneficial. To understand why these behaviors are occurring, I wanted to go back to the interaction between dopamine and serotonin. While there are not specific studies talking about whether MDMA and ketamine together enhance certain behaviors, there was a lot of mentioning of interactions in areas like the BTA, which is important for the mesolimbic system. If there is high ketamine and MDMA, it triggers the release of excitatory serotonin, which research has shown enhances dopamine release directly. However, too much dopamine can cause or induce psychosis and hallucinations. Last but not least, let's talk about treatment. In some cases of overdose or severe toxicity, usually medical professionals will do a tox screen on the person. They may also perform Narcan if they see opioid overdose signs as well. If a tox screen comes back positive for anything, providers will likely treat the individual substances. I did not see any medications or treatments that directly treat ketamine or MDMA. For long term treatment, short term answer, no idea, since there's little to no research on withdrawal for MDMA and ketamine mixtures. But you can also see them at detox clinics and therapeutic interventions to prevent relapse. So that's pretty much it. If you want to learn more about pink cocaine and its history in Colombia, I recommend watching Pink Cocaine, a series of docu-series called High Society by Vice. You can also look at my references as well. Thanks for watching.